I saw him before I knew his name. He came every afternoon, right around 3, always the same hands in his coat pockets, eyes steady on one particular door, Unit 119. He never spoke, never touched the lock, never knocked. He just stood there, still as the autumn air around him. At first, I thought maybe he was waiting for someone, but days passed, and no one came, just him, and that door, and the silence in between. The storage yard was mostly quiet this time of year. A few folks dropping off old boxes, some clearing space for winter. I'd run the place for over 30 years, and I'd seen all kinds of people. But this man, something about him held a different kind of weight. Like he wasn't just looking at the door, he was listening to it. His name was Daniel. He told me that the fourth time I asked if he was all right, he smiled, sort of, and said, "I think I'm looking for something, but I don't know what it is yet." We sat on the edge of the bench near the office. He pulled a worn photograph from his pocket. It was bent at the corners, black and white, maybe from the 70s. A young man in a paint-covered shirt stood in front of a row of canvases, his arm around a small boy with curly hair. "Daniel," I guessed. "That's my father," he said softly. "James Landry. He died when I was 7. I barely remember him. My mom never talked about him much." I studied the photo, the paint on the man's hands, the smile that never quite reached his eyes. There was something else scribbled faintly on the back, an address, my address, the name of the storage place, and a number, 119. My breath caught a little. "I think this is the place," Daniel said, "but I don't know why." I hadn't heard that name in years, but I remembered him, James. Quiet like his son, kind eyes, brought in a small truck full of paintings, one rainy afternoon, and never came back. I never cleared the unit. He paid for years in advance, and I just left it alone. Something about it felt unfinished. I looked at Daniel. "Come back tomorrow morning. I'll open it for you." His eyes widened, like he wasn't sure whether to be scared or thankful. "Maybe both." "You don't have to." "I want to," I said. "Some things are meant to be found." The next day was cold. Frost curled along the edges of the buildings. Daniel arrived early, waiting before I even unlocked the gate. We walked to Unit 119 together. I took a deep breath, slid the key into the old padlock, and gave it a twist. The metal creaked, and the door rolled up with a groan. Dust danced in the sunlight, and behind it canvas after canvas, stacked and wrapped in old cloth. The smell of oil paint and time hung in the air. Daniel stepped forward, like he was walking into a memory. The first painting he uncovered was a landscape, soft hills, the sky brushed in gold. Then another, a woman's face, turned just slightly, eyes closed in thought. But then came the one that broke him. A painting of a boy, curly hair, toy truck in hand, sitting in a garden, a small signature in the corner, "To Daniel." Always. Daniel fell to his knees. I looked away. Sometimes you have to give people space to remember. There was more in that unit than either of us expected. After Daniel uncovered the first few paintings, he spotted a stack of boxes in the back corner, taped shut and yellowing with time. He knelt down and opened one carefully, like he was afraid the memories inside might crumble if he moved too fast. Inside were sketchbooks, some big, some pocket-sized, filled with drawings of everything: city streets, trees, faces, hands, even pages that showed just scribbled ideas. Some were labeled "Early Thoughts," one read. Another had a date, and just one line beneath a sketch of a child reaching upward. Daniel's first steps. He opened a leather-bound book that was thick with letters, each one folded and tied together with twine. They were written in neat, tired handwriting. Some were dated only weeks before his father's death. Some even earlier, years before Daniel was born. He sat on the floor of the unit, the sunlight catching dust in the air, as he began to read. "To my son," one letter said. "If you ever wonder who I was, I hope these words help you see me. Not just as your father, but as a man who tried and loved deeply." There was a cardboard box tucked beneath the others, and inside it, a small old tape recorder. Daniel held it in his hands, like it was made of glass. "It might not work," I said gently. He nodded. Still. He touched this, maybe even spoke into it. He didn't try to play it then. Not yet. Some things are too tender for the moment they're found. You need time to be ready for the sound of a lost voice. At the very top of it all, resting on a rolled-up canvas, was a brown paper package, wrapped with simple string. On the front, in faded ink, was one sentence. For my son, if he ever finds this. Daniel held it against his chest for a long time. No words, just that. The rest of the morning passed in quiet discovery. He didn't rush. He took each piece out with care, like someone handling the life of a person they missed, but never got to fully know. Every painting seemed to hold a memory. Every letter, a part of the man, a laugh, a fear, a hope. All the things Daniel had spent his life wondering about. It was like meeting his father again. But this time, heart first. He didn't say much after. Just small nods. A soft hum, here and there. But I noticed the way he kept touching the frames, running his fingers along the edges, as if he was making sure they were real. As if he was afraid they might vanish, if he blinked. When it was time to go, I offered to help him carry the things to his truck. He nodded, his voice thick with feeling. Tears rolled down his face, quiet and steady, but he never wiped them away. Weeks passed, and then one day, a small flyer showed up in the mail. It was plain, just white paper, and black ink. No fancy design, just a name across the top. The lost work of James Landry, remembered by his son. It was being held in the town gallery, the old brick one on Maple Street. I hadn't been there in years, but I went, of course. The room was full when I arrived, quiet, but full. People walked slowly past the paintings, pausing at each one, like they were trying to hear something only they could understand. Some smiled, some wiped at their eyes, a few just stood still, hands in their pockets, the way Daniel once stood outside. Unit 119. Every painting had a small card beneath it, some with titles, others with short notes, little pieces of James's thoughts, found in the sketchbooks and letters. Some had no words at all, just silence, and that was enough. Daniel stood near the back wall, not center stage, just watching. His hands were folded in front of him. He looked calm, and a little older than the last time I saw him. Not in a tired way, but in a full way. Like someone who had found the missing piece of a long story. I walked up beside him. He smiled softly when he saw me. You came. Of course, I said. There was a long pause before he spoke again. Thank you, he said, for keeping him safe. I shook my head slowly. I didn't keep him. You found him. He looked at the crowd, at the art, at the walls filled with his father's hands and heart. No, he said. He found me. Sometimes I still walk by Unit 119. It's empty now, swept clean. Not a box left inside, but I always stop, just for a moment. I stand there, hands in my pockets, and think about the man who came day after day, drawn by something he couldn't explain. I think about the look on his face when that door opened, and I think about what lives inside a memory, not just the pictures or the words, but the feeling. The way a piece of someone can stay waiting for you, even when you didn't know it was missing. Unit 119 isn't just a room anymore. It's a place where love was stored, quietly, gently, patiently, for decades. And sometimes, when the wind's just right, I swear I can almost hear it, the soft scrape of a paintbrush, the quiet voice of a father saying, "For my son, if he ever finds this," because some legacies aren't loud. They're wrapped in paper, tucked in boxes, waiting for the right heart to open the door.